basic to living with mental illness and even in living in general is a roof over your head. Can you imagine the frustration of someone in DHS working with a homeless person and trying to help them stay on their medication? Getting to the appointment, keeping their drugs safe, having some sort of schedule that they can follow when they're homeless. So there is this difficult component of homelessness, of mental illness and self-treatment with drugs. But I do come back to housing, that this is basic to get started to help people stay on their medication.
Thank you. Jim?
One of the kind of things that works, and it has not been applied widely, but it may start to tickle the problem, the Central City Concern in Portland years ago had a number of patients that were homeless, street people with treatable mental illness. And I was executive director of State Pharmacy Association at that time. And I got some regulations changed which allowed Central Drug in downtown Portland to not just dispense medication and fill prescriptions for these people, but to dispense the dosage. And it's still going on for a small population there of street people. But the thing that seems to work for God knows what reason is if these people show up at their appointed time, usually 9 or 10 in the morning, to get their mental health medication, they get a free candy bar. Now, it's not rocket science, but it works. And it's been working for a long time. So it may be, if we look at the way we do this, maybe a lot of these people, we need to deliver their medication to them in some format, as opposed to telling them, here's a bottle, go home and take it every day, and twice on Saturday or whatever, and relatively well that's not going to happen. So we have to rethink the whole situation is, how do you motivate somebody to do something so simple as taking a medication? And maybe a reminder or a little reward or something for some of these people at least. I know that it worked for some people. Now, this may not be totally applicable.
Anyone else care to answer? Yes, Sharon?
I was going to say the very same thing because I was thinking they do the same thing with heroin addicts, bring them fresh needles, and they also give them food or bring a sandwich. Sometimes they'll do it with condoms. There's, like Ross said earlier, you have to think out of the box, especially for that kind of a situation where none of those people are going to be the same type of person. There's something going on with each one of them, and I know for my own experience with some people that are so afflicted that they don't trust people on the outside, in the outside world. They don't really trust you. But if they're seeing the same people every time, they get used to you, they know you're not going to harm them, you're giving them something like a candy bar or sandwich or whatever, and you're also asking them to do something, you actually establishing a relationship with this person. And that's probably the only relationship they have with anybody on the outside. So I think that's a perfect idea.
Thank you. We have two questions that are related to each other, so bear with me. I'll read both questions and I'll look toward your response. First is, what is your plan to increase employment opportunities for people with brain disorders? This is a little bit longer. As planning increases, so should our workforce. What planning with drug and mental health focus will help our counties reinforce jobs that focus on managing living wage and disability through all the workforce? Example, Goodwill, high costs, great hiring. Anyone care to answer those? Or I could repeat them.
We'll take a shot at it from the standpoint of what I know is being done. We have a number of companies around the state that are utilizing workshops where mentally ill people or otherwise handicapped people, depending on the situation, are coming together to do tasks that we might consider menial, but they consider fulfilling. And it's as simple as putting 36 small bags of potato chips in a box. It provides employment, it provides an income stream, and they're very, very good at it. That's one of the things I think we have to get past, is that people with these disabilities, can't earn a paycheck doing it. No, they're very good, they're very efficient, and they're extremely reliable. The point is to choose an environment in which to do these things, and something that they can learn, and sometimes it has to be repetitive. So it's not complicated, but they'll do it over and over again and be very successful at it. And the shops I visited, the workers seem very happy. It's not a sweatshop at all. So I think we need to look at some of these kinds of community-based things. If we could bring 10 or 15 people together in one storefront, what could they do for other people in the community, or contract work we could bring into the community for them to do and send back out again? But again, it's thinking out of the box. If we start with the idea that people with mental illness are not able to work, then of course they're not. It's into that. But if we back into it, go, what are they capable of doing with their limitations? That's a different world and a whole different conversation. And I think we can go there. We're doing it now, so we can do more of it.
Mike?
So I'll follow up on that, and I kind of agree with Jim that those are good solutions, is to have those kinds of work opportunities. And what you talk about is the sheltered workshops for developmentally disabled adults, and that's not mental illness there, but that's the same kind of thing of, you could have an environment that could be with those people, or a similar kind of environment for that. And then to even extend it even farther, you could say with young people who haven't developed skills yet. They're not developmentally disabled, they're not mentally ill, but they just haven't developed skills or anything like that. And we're going in the wrong direction in the legislature. So I don't know if you know this, Jim, but the governor signed an executive order that's effectively going to do away with the sheltered workshops. So we're not going to have that anymore. And we're raising the minimum wage right now to the point where it's not even for semi-skilled people. There's not going to be opportunities. And so I'm really concerned about many of these classes of people that are going to be impacted by this. I think we need to take another look at where we're going. I think we're going in the wrong direction.
Other comments? Ken?
I think the question was about people with brain disorders. And that's a big difference from developmentally disabled adults. We have to be careful that we keep those two very, very separate. So when we think of people with brain disorders, it's not that they're going to be happy doing repetitive things. No, these are people that are high functioning without mental disabilities. It's a brain disorder where maybe the computer starts to talk to you while you're trying to finish your thesis. So it's a very difficult question, because there's not some workshop where you can go and function with that difficulty. So it's a whole other way of approaching businesses with working with people with brain disorders. We do very well with MV Advancements here in town and finding placement for people with developmental disabilities. It's going to be a different organization and a different way to work with these people to go forward with helping them find employment with periods of time away while they recover from an episode. So I just want to make that distinction.
Jim?
My example may not have been elegant, but I recognize what he's saying. My point was, deal with these people as individuals. What are they capable of doing? What is the environment that they'll be successful in? And how do we connect the work that needs to be done with people who are capable of doing it? I think that's a problem across all kinds of healthcare immobilities and whatnot, is how do you look at the individual person and decide in a creative way what this person is capable of doing and at what functional level. And I think that's a far better choice than trying to decide what kind of medication we're going to put them on to keep them quiet all day. And we're not doing that. We are not being creative with what we can bring out in people. And I don't care if they're computers talking to them or they have some other problem. Everybody has something they can do if we can figure out what that is. And then you've got to get those people together and do it in enough quantity to make it commercial.
Any other comments?
Let me jump in here because we seem to be on the doom and gloom track here. The vast majority of individuals that have mental challenges function on a day-to-day basis in society. Just a fact that we've talked about extremes here tonight. There are individuals that have brain disorders that function at the highest level, and I think Ken made a point here, they're writing their thesis, and so I'll really go out on the limb here and go more farther, because I think it's at the heart of this question here, is that you have professionals that are out there that, because of HIPAA and all this medical stuff that's out there, that everything's super secret, that nobody knew that they had a mental problem, nobody knew that they had a brain disorder, and then one day they forgot to take their meds, and they came unwound in the wrong place when they were giving their thesis, or when they were in the surgery room. Just hear what I just said, in the surgery room. The way to address this is that all across the professional standards, to ensure people that can work on a normal basis and do work on a normal basis when they're outed, for a better word, for some mental illness that they have, that profession still allows them to perform and do their work. And I'll just give you a prime example. We have a sitting legislator, if you don't know, and it's in the public if you don't know, that is on serious medication, and they are in the medical profession and actually do surgery. And that particular individual can function at 100%, 99.9% of the time. And for whatever reason, occasionally something has transpired. And interesting, I've actually been there when this has happened, so I've experienced this personally, because they've got too wound up, forgot to take their medication, and basically got lost in the middle of a room. And this is something who is a high-end PhD type professional, much what Ken said. What we have to do is not just focus at the bottom end of what individuals that are severely disabled, severely mentally disabled do, but all the way across the spectrum. Who would have thought, I mean, I'm still kind of amazed myself as a legislator, who would have thought a company would still insure a doctor who has that sort of a disability, but is perfectly fine as long as they're on their medication and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if we're going to have everybody in society productive and everybody is going to continue to work and we're going to continue to improve, we're going to have to go back to a lot of the standards that we have and make sure we identify in those professions that are out there that individuals that do have a disability or a mental disability but can function perfectly in society, that they are not discriminated against in those professions. Now, I am still, and I, believe it or not, when this transpired in the legislature, I went and asked several doctors that were experts, thesis PhDs, and then said, okay, are we sure we're not recognizing something that is serious here, in which, we literally have a doctor who